So that's what's happening melodically. You've got a lot of interesting features. Some are more interesting than others. The fact that a lot of it is just kind of scalic is not necessarily the most interesting thing ever, but then when you get the bits of sequence, this really intricate, trilled, dotted quaver pattern and things like that, then that's what you can really say, okay, that is the really interesting feature of this piece. And also just the opening intervals. The first phrase, second phrase, third phrase, and then fourth phrase, and looking at features like that. Harmonically, this is a piece of Baroque music, so it is going to be diatonic, so that means it is in majors and minors. You can get Renaissance stuff is still modal rather frequently. You can get a couple of modal bits in the Baroque era, but that's not a super duper popular thing because diatonicism was relatively kind of like, wow, we're doing this now. We can say that this is made up of normal major minor chords with the occasional diminished interval. For example, let's go back to our friend the E natural. We've got tritone here, which is even juicier considering how out of tune the piano is. That is going to be, generally speaking, one of the most interesting things that you're going to get in a piece like this, is the kind of dissonant tritone intervals which come as a part of chromatic inflections to build tension and change key, even if it's just for, you know, a crotchet or so. What else have we not looked at? Texture. Let's have a look at texture. So just broadly looking at the entire thing, we can see that this is a relatively simple two-line piece, and it remains that way all the way through. There is not a single chord to be played in either the left hand or the right hand. It is one note for each hand. And interestingly, this is so that if you wanted to play this on, say, a violin and cello, or it would have been a viol really, instead, then you could just take it apart and say, well, I don't have a piano, so instead I'm going to play this on my violin, and then my viol friend can play this. You can take from that is, okay, you've got to bring variation through different elements of music, say the dynamics that we spoke about earlier, and that's why there are these trills over the top. So that's where a kind of flamboyancy and interest comes from, instead of from any textural points. And this is a very violin writing, as you can see, this dotted trill thing, like it's quite clunky on the piano, and I'm not just using that as an excuse for the fact that I can't particularly play it. But that would suit the violin so much better. So he's really thought about the fact that, you know, yes, okay, this is a piano score, but it doesn't have to be on a piano, or harpsichord it could have been. So let's just go through and check we haven't forgotten any. So we've done melody, we've done harmony, we've done tonality, we've done structure, rhythm, tempo, dynamics. Have I forgotten any? Timbre. We've basically just said that it's going to be for, it would have been for a harpsichord back then if it was played on a keyboard, but it may have been taken up by string players, wind players. You could have had a recorder on the top instead, anything really. I think that is it. I think we've done it all. So that is it for today. I hope this has proved useful to you. This is basically the same as you would do with more complex music. Admittedly, this was a relatively simple piece to start with, you know, not simple enough that it didn't involve brain power, but even if you get to these massive 20th century contemporary things that are ridiculous, the method is effectively the same, but the knowledge of what is happening becomes way more complicated. So next time you are playing a piece or writing a piece, and or you just want to study a piece, preferably something not as complicated as the Rite of Spring, then it's the same thing really. Go through each of the elements, figure out what each of them are doing, and how this can inform you as to why the piece sounds good, why it plays the way that it does, how you can use certain elements to your advantage in order to play the piece better and bring off your interpretation better, etc. I hope you've enjoyed one of these more analytical videos as opposed to a history one. We've only got a few more left. If there is anything you desperately want to know about, please send me an email, because I still have time and kind of slots and ideas available if there is something in particular you would like me to do a video on. There is still time. If not, I will just ramble on in my usual way, probably about something you really don't care about. Have a good week. This is called wow. The words. What was I talking about?